Don't forget to follow us on social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
See the same people every other day, but we never say hey, cause we're never looking the way, or my face was in my notebook. We passed each other, didn't look. But these are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, overlapping side by side, big small towns. I see new people every day. Everyone's on their way, doing the things that fill their day. And I'm going places too, doing the things that I do with my time. We are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, diagonal, top to bottom, big small towns. Be nice to the people of the towns. Once in a while look around, cause what's going around's coming around. What came around's coming around. What's going around's coming around. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns.
Hey everybody, welcome to Downballot. We do this show live almost every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Also simulcasting to other places that do not matter. You can support this project and get the entire show for this and the Sunday show, including the pregame, by visiting patreon.com/Echoplex or eplex.store. Sign up at the $5 a month or higher level. And I don't know, you'll get the whole show, other goodies. You get the used to be a spy before everybody else gets it, all that good stuff. I'm producer Dave. Find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave. Where today I saw a video of somebody throwing a submarine sandwich at a federal agent. and I don't know. You can also find me on Grindr.
That's a spicy salam. This is the councilman, as always, joining your producer, Dave. You can find me on Blue Sky at PJ Allen TWO. That's PJ Allen 2. And you can also find me now on campus. And you can also find me making dinner for the bad baby, which is why I was late hopping on the old stream here. But I'm happy to see you as always. I'm happy to be wading through another docket of local derp. We do this, as producer Dave said, almost every Tuesday, and there always seems to be something to fill up this docket. There's never a slow news week here on Downballot.
So for leading off, there was a school district superintendent from the Allen Rock district of San Jose fired last weekend. Apparently, he took an interview with the news.
Yeah, apparently his attorneys were being a little bit lenient there with him. We'll see what he said, and we'll talk about it on the backside.
He is talking. The recently fired superintendent of the struggling Alum Rock School District is now speaking out about his termination. In fact, he says even though the school board says he was fired without cause, that isn't the case. He sat down exclusively with NBC Bay Area's Damian Trujillo and says he believes he was fired for speaking out about questionable reimbursements for board members.
The allegations made by the fired superintendent, Germán Cerda, are very troubling. In fact, he says this might lead to a criminal investigation.
Were you shocked?
Kind of, but not really. There were some things that were going on that I was looking into.
From his family room, the former superintendent of the Alum Rock School District described being walked out of his office after the board voted to fire him without cause. It was not even a year into Germán Cerda's tenure.
It's still shocking when something like that happens to you.
Cerda says he noticed that some board members were being reimbursed by the district for attending community fundraisers. Then Cerda says he noticed one of the board members, Andres Quintero, was being reimbursed for classes he was taking for a doctorate degree. Reimbursements totaling more than $30,000. Reimbursements in a district that's mired in a $9 million budget deficit this year and another $7 million next year.
And I was directed by this person, right, who was on the board, to close schools, to lay off staff, and yet you have this, you're getting reimbursements. It's unfortunate.
Cerda believes he was fired for raising questions about the reimbursements. In a statement, the district said all board members are encouraged to continuously participate in advanced training offered by the California School Boards Association and/or education through an accredited college or university in order to reinforce boardsmanship skills and build knowledge related to key education issues. Mr. Quintero has submitted reimbursement requests for coursework in the past using a district's reimbursement process.
When teachers are submitting requests for reimbursement for classes that they're taking, we ask for transcripts. We ask for specific itemized documentation, which is part of the Ed Code. And when I came across this file, there's nothing there but a receipt for a credit card from a university in the Cumberlands. And I looked into it, and it's like, it's a doctorate program. We're not paying for teachers' credentials and masters unless there's a specific need for a credential.
Davina Hurt is the government ethics director at Santa Clara University.
School boards are meant to serve the public, not profit from the role. A tuition payment to a sitting member raises conflicts of interest questions. It challenges their duty to safeguard taxpayer money.
Cerda says the authorities should be digging into the reimbursements.
That's embezzlement. And so I'm going to escalate it to the district attorney's office because they need to look into this.
Cerda says caught in the middle of all this are the children and teachers of Alum Rock. Cerda hopes the foundation he laid in his short tenure will ensure education remains a priority this year.
I sense an understandable sense of emotion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I cried. Yep.
Damian Trujillo, NBC Bay Area News.
So yeah, I don't understand. Like, if you're the board, fuck that. No. You can't like go get a doctorate because that person is not getting a doctorate in being on the school board, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, and regardless of actually what the purpose was, frankly, really the only time that board members, from my experience, get reimbursed for their activities is when they're doing, like they said, California School Board or just official state function type things that they have, someone on that board has to attend, right? It's just a requirement of being on the board. But this completely optional PhD program, right? Yes, they encourage the professional development of board members, but they don't, they shouldn't be sponsoring it. And but apparently, if he followed whatever process they have, their process is screwed up because he shouldn't be getting reimbursed, or they shouldn't be getting reimbursed for these things. Whether or not this gentleman was let go, walked out because he raised red flags about that, who knows? There's so much baggage at this district right now for all of the board members, frankly, and the leadership. It's just been one upheaval after another that, in the greater scheme of things, I don't know that this, rises to the critical mass level, but it's certainly not, it's not right. It's not ethical. And it raises red flags about how the district is being run, and the correlation between his firing and him raising these issues, if it's true, if what he says is true, certainly begs the question of if he was being retaliated against. But we have to let these issues play out. I am surprised his attorneys let him talk to the press, though. I don't know about you.
He didn't say much except for, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's a big deal, because he said, hey man, it looked like this guy was like engaged in a PhD program that the school district was paying for. Like, that's, I don't know. I mean, yeah, your job is to shut the fuck up, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna, like, if he's gonna sue or anything's gonna, him going out and saying that, unless it's a lie, I don't think it's really gonna, like, hurt his cause. And maybe maybe the other thing, maybe the dude really fucking cares about that district. For all we know, there's a good public servant, and he's like, hey man, I don't know. He's like, we got teachers like paying for crayons out of their own pocket, and how much are we spending for you to get a PhD in accounting? Whatever it might be.
Whatever it is. Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm firmly willing to believe that this is really just about the best interests of the kids and the teachers. He did a great job when it came down to it, right? If you're his attorneys, you're like, they coached him well, obviously. He didn't say anything that's necessarily negative, incriminating, or otherwise, detrimental to his case eventually if he were to sue the district. So, interesting development. We shall see where this leads. And if it goes to the district attorney, we will be following any kind of case that happens right here on Down Ballot. And it will probably be leading off another episode of Down Ballot when that does come around. In the meantime, schools are closing in that district. They are now without, or at least they have an interim superintendent, or their third superintendent, maybe fourth, in the past 12 months. So it's not a good way over there right now. And there is no easy solution, sadly.
Well, we're going to move on to winners and losers, where if anybody's winning, that ain't the one you were rooting for. And it looks like this is, I heard about this, but I think, well, we'll let this story run, because I have some thoughts about the cities that were named. But it looks like the National Guard has been deployed to Washington, D.C., and the guy who did it happened to have mentioned the great city of Oakland in a list of cities he might deploy the National Guard to stop crime.
The town is next.
They'll be on the ground tomorrow. President Trump deploying National Guard troops to patrol the streets of D.C. to help fight crime there. The question is, could they also be sent to other cities? And is Oakland next? Tonight, Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee is sounding off after the president called the East Bay city out during a news conference. His comments? The PD recently announced crime in the town is trending down. We begin tonight with NBC Bay Area's Pete Serratos.
Tonight, the National Guard is en route to Washington, D.C., and according to a White House official, are expected to be on the ground tomorrow. It comes after President Trump announced plans to send 800 National Guard members to help with law enforcement in D.C. It's not clear where they will be deployed.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back.
The deployment is coming despite crime stats from the U.S. Attorney's Office showing violent crime in D.C. at a 30-year low. And President Trump also saying he could take similar actions in other U.S. cities.
New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone.
Here in the Bay Area, new numbers from Oakland PD show crime trending down in the first 6 months of the year, with violent crime down by 29%. Mayor Barbara Lee is responding to the president's remarks, saying President Trump's characterization of Oakland is wrong and not grounded in facts, but in fear-mongering. This is not leadership. It's an attempt to score cheap political points by tearing down communities he doesn't understand. Councilmember Ken Houston saying the stats show Oakland is turning the corner, but there's still plenty of work to be done.
Because right now, crime is really down. The bipping, you don't see the bipping, the Cadillac converters, the stolen cars, that's all down. But we do have to do what? Get a handle of the gun violence.
Other community leaders say the National Guard in Oakland could cause division in the city.
There will be political unrest, and then we'll be expecting a lot of rallies and protests happening.
While no decision has been made by the president on sending troops to Oakland, law enforcement experts say such a move could cause confusion between local and federal officers.
A local entity works with state laws, local municipal codes, and they operate off of community standards. The federal government does not.
In Oakland, Pete Serratos, NBC Bay Area News.
I'm thinking like, okay, Oakland is a kind of a place, but if he sends the National Guard to Bmore, that's not going to go very well at all. That will be the beginning of a civil war in the United States if you send the fucking National Guard to Bmore.
I mean, I don't know if the towns would be any different, but yeah, I would be a little scared myself if I was in the National Guard being asked to go on that assignment. My goodness. Yeah. So where does it end? Who knows? What do you do when Producer Dave when the National Guard comes to the town?
I'll be out in the. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm out in the streets. I'm getting my whole building out in the street.
There you go. Got to get your money's worth, right?
Well, it's like when this stuff if this stuff starts happening, you basically have two choices. You have two. You either ignore it or you fight it. And
yeah. Absolutely. Well, also, we shall see.
So there's a little some minor differences with the National Guard and that stuff in DC, because DC isn't a state and they are sort of beholden to the federal government in some ways that a city and a state is not. And I don't know how all that plays out. I feel like there may be a point at which people in charge of like National Guard units just buck and they just say no. And I don't know any of the sort of chain of command or how that works, if it's different, if it's the California National Guard versus in DC. But like, for example, if the announcement is given that, Oakland or San Francisco or Berkeley or I don't know, things are pretty wild in Fremont.
Typically.
What if the governor says absolutely not, gives the order for the National Guard not to deploy, and then the president gives the order for the National Guard to deploy? Because the National Guard is supposedly beholden to both, right?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how all of the chain of command plays out, so I don't want to speculate either. But but it would seem like there would be some conflict there, regardless, because the National Guard. I mean, yeah, it's they're there to quell unrest, but not necessarily from our own populace, right? Like it just seems to be that's what they've been used for in the past, because we haven't faced an invasion on American soil, right? Really ever, right? Like Pearl Harbor, 9/11.
That one time the Canadians burned down the White House.
Oh, right, of course.
That was kind of dope, actually.
Right, so since 1812, let's say, since 1812, we haven't experienced like really, other than 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, right? Any sort of invasion type of incident. So the National Guard really hasn't had to be called in for what I believe it was ostensibly, designed for in the first place. And it's usually been called in to quell unrest amongst people who are not white males.
And so, not for nothing, like when the National Guard's been called in the past, it was like the LA riots where people were burning down buildings in the city. Now, you know, they came in, they escalated the situation. A lot of people think that National Guard, had they not come, that the situation may have resolved itself more quickly. And there's also some major problems with the LASD and LAPD that there was like a bit of a powder keg there. But this is unprecedented, where the president just thinks that crime is bad, and so he's deploying like federal, basically military troops to a city because he thinks crime is bad. Not for nothing,
Absolutely.
The crime 30-year historical lows by the fucking federal government's own estimations in DC. This all happened. I think this all happened because that fucking weird incel named Big Balls got his ass kicked. I don't know if you know about this story.
I am vaguely familiar with Big Balls, just from being associated with the Echoplex Media Network and being in the Discord. I'm aware of Big Balls, but you could elucidate it.
Just real quick, the story the right wing media is telling is that like this Elon Musk appointee of some sort, a Doge employee, young man, saved a damsel in distress from a horde of fucking DC teenagers and got beat up. I am highly skeptical of that narrative. I'm just highly skeptical of that narrative.
Living in a single room with 3 other individuals. One of them was a male, and the other 2 were female.
Right. I'm just highly skeptical of that narrative. But even if that were the case, like, people get assaulted in big cities. People get in fights all the time, and it is never the reason to deploy the National Guard.
No, and as we'll see in the next clip, there's really no reason to deploy the National Guard in Oakland because, as you mentioned, crime is at historic lows, not just in DC, but also in the town. And KPIX is going to dig a little more into that.
Well, it's interesting, too, because for a while they were shitting on San Francisco, but now that San Francisco got a white tech mayor, ain't nobody talking about San Francisco no more, are they?
No, he's cleaning it up, man. He's cleaning up the poop, and he's putting it over there.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, crime is down in Oakland. Let's get the skinny on that from KPIX5.
Absolutely. The very skinny.
Crime is dropping significantly, continuing a shift that started last year. So Oakland police data through the first half of the year shows violent crime fell by 29%. That's compared to the first 6 months of 2024. And today, city leaders came together to celebrate the progress. Our Lauren Tom spoke with one activist who says Oakland cannot afford to let up.
Every week, Joe Griffin waits for a fresh set of numbers. They're not just statistics to him. They're a pulse check on the city of Oakland. And the numbers he's holding now tell a story of progress, as overall crime has dropped 28% in the first half of the year compared to the same time in 2024.
So when I look at this, it just, to me, it tells a story of we need to invest in finding out what is actually working.
City leaders say what's working is a united effort, an approach that includes grassroots crime prevention groups like Youth Alive, where Joe has worked for 16 years, and a more visible police presence. He's seen Oakland's crime patterns rise and fall. In 2023, overall crime spiked 17%. This year, he says the numbers show a momentum that the city can't afford to lose.
I think it's the start of something. And I think that for folks who live in Oakland, for folks who want to change the narrative around how we think of Oakland, it shows that not only do we want public safety, but we're working towards it.
City leaders say there's still more work to be done, but they're celebrating data that shows overall violent crime fell by 29% in the first 6 months of this year compared to last year. That includes a 21% drop in homicides, an 18% drop in aggravated assault, a 24% drop in rape, and 41% drop in robbery. Property crime is also dropping. Burglaries are down 19%, motor vehicle thefts down 45%, and larceny down 17%. Arson is the only category showing an increase by 9%.
We have to.
People love fire.
That was all just me. That was because I moved here in December.
I was going to just say, it's all producer Dave's fault.
To address the perception and the feeling of crime right now.
Oakland's 911 response times are improving too. Now, 73% of emergency calls are answered within the first 15 seconds. It's still shy of the 90% statewide goal, but Mayor Barbara Lee says it's the progress the city has been craving.
These results show that we're on the right track, but our work is far from done. We're going to keep building on this progress with the same comprehensive approach that got us here.
That comprehensive approach hasn't come easy. The city had to close a more than $200 million budget deficit, forcing deep cuts to community resources. Youth Alive lost part of its city grant and $2 million in federal funding. Even so, Joe says these numbers show their work is having an impact.
I think the key is that there isn't one thing. Is that this really is an all hands on deck moment. What we're doing right now is saving lives. We have time to evaluate. We have time to figure out why it's happening, but we know that what's happening is good. So let's stick with it.
This trend really started last year when violent crime dropped 19%, Oakland compared to 2023. The city attributing that to the revival of the ceasefire program, which is designed to intervene with people at high risk for committing gun violence. So Oakland's numbers also mirror a wider trend. There's new data from the state attorney general and the FBI. It shows overall violent crime was down across California and the entire country.
Yeah, this is good news. I think there are a lot of things like Oakland, like people don't think about this, but there's more street parties now. Like my district has a street party, like a regular, not monthly or anything, but every couple months there's like a street party. And I think that like, that's not the only thing, certainly, but I think that like doing stuff like that, like the other thing is like the event at Lake Merritt keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every Friday, and it's just kind of a kick it. It started out informal and now it's been like formalized. And I think that these kinds of things, it takes longer and nobody gets to crack the whip, and not even anybody really gets to take credit for them. But I think these kinds of things have like a longer term impact. I think if you feel connected to your community and you feel like, you know, even if times are tough or whatever, but you went to like a street party and you met all your neighbors and shit, I just think that like, I think everybody's just like in a better like position. Everybody feels better and people are just like less likely to do stupid shit or violent shit.
Right. And stupid shit, violent shit to each other, more likely to watch out for people doing stupid shit to each other. Right. And to watch out for the neighborhood. And to care about the neighborhood, and then to, you know, beyond just the real basics of, you know, safety and security, to, you know, vote and get civically engaged, right? And why would anyone who doesn't care about their community is living a very transient life because the cost of living is so high that they're bouncing around from rental to rental to rental, right? Why would they invest in their community to the point where they care who the fuck the council member is, right? Or who the hell the mayor is, because they're not going to be there long enough for them to make any difference in their lives, right? So yeah, it hits on a lot of levels. I agree with you. I've been a big proponent of, you know, just a simple thing, right? Make it easier for people to throw a goddamn block party, right? Like you want government to do something that's real simple, just make it easier for people to shut down the street and have a party. And they can pay for it, but just let them shut down the street. And there was when the councilman ran for city council, the person who eventually did win the seat, first year in office, first thing they did was make it free for folks to apply for and get a permit to shut down their street for a block party. As long as they were going to do a community block party with like kiddo activities and all this, you know, all the family friendly shit, they could do it for free. And I said to my friends, she's going to get reelected. There's no question. Now she could just, if that's the only thing she does in 4 years, she'll get reelected because it was that meaningful and that impactful and that tangible to people, right? It was something they're like, yes, we all need more community. Please help us build community. So,
you know, I went out to the one in my district, and I went to the little information booth and was just chopping it up with them. And the lady there was like, I didn't even know who you were. You're a DJ? She's like, here's some information. And she's like, you're playing the next one. Make sure that I knew. She's like, we don't really have much to pay you. She's like, well, we'll get you some beer tickets and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, you're so cool.
Beer tickets have value. Are you kidding?
I'll get paid in exposure.
Right. Exposure to beer.
Well, also yeah, my friends own a bar, and they have like their other nightclubs shut down, so they have this big sound system they're not using and stuff. So I put them in touch too, because like it's good for their bar to be like involved in the community, and if they can get a small stage in front of their bar, it'll like help them. You know, people go into their bar, And, you know, they know all
Exposure
the
for them.
DJs because they're like former ravers and stuff. So, and I know that's not like the only thing, and it's not just my neighborhood either, but like there was this big block party in West Oakland where there hadn't been a block party in a very long time. And I didn't go, that's all the way across town. Like, and I don't really have friends in the neighborhood or what, like, so it's like not like, you know, unless like there was a good reason for me to go there. But they're also doing stuff at Jack London, like because Jack London's dead, they're trying to do like art, like kind of art exhibits and stuff out on the like the quad there and whatnot, even though the businesses are all run down and stuff. And it seems like just a lot of stuff is happening, whereas it wasn't before. And it seems like for a minute, San Francisco was trying to do that. And I keep hearing about all these block parties in San Francisco getting closed down. No more night
by
market.
By the city or by the PD or
I don't know.
Both, or?
They're ending, right? Like there's that night market that everybody was super excited about. I think it was, it wasn't Soma. It was somewhere you wouldn't expect. Was it the Marina? It was a really cool night market that everybody really liked, and it ended. And I'm like, oh, that's not great. But, you know, and the other thing is like, it's like, how are you then, not for nothing, like how are they collecting the data? Are less people inclined to report? Like if their car gets stolen, do they just call the insurance and have insurance deal with it? Because they don't think the police are going to do anything. That also has some impact on this. But like the violent crime, it sucks if your car gets stolen, but fucking shit happens. Well, the one I care about is like the violent crime. And I'm sorry for lighting all of that stuff on fire.
It's perfectly fine. This is a dumpster. This whole show is a dumpster fire, and it has been for 7 years or so. So no worries at all. Yeah, you're 100% right. And if anything, you know, you want to key on those violent crime numbers because those are probably going to be the more accurate ones, right? Like you may have some auto theft or some auto or some robbery or burglaries that don't go reported because either people don't think it's going to matter or they're going to get attention or they just don't bother reporting it, or like you said, insurance is going to work something out, right? But you can't, you know, you're not going to see that if someone gets murdered, right? Or raped.
No insurance. I mean, it might be, but
yeah. Although I shouldn't say that actually. Rape obviously goes underreported. Domestic violence goes underreported. So, but,
yeah, there was no
murder,
there was no DV in those numbers. But also, I think that's not
doesn't get pulled out. It doesn't get extracted. That's the thing. It gets aggregated into everything else, like assault, and it doesn't get, or at least. If it is disaggregated in the actual data, it doesn't get reported as such, right? So you're just going to see it. It's in there. It's just under homicide. It's under assault, right? But it just happens to be domestic. And stats actually show the majority of violent crime is domestic or is perpetrated by someone at least you know,
right?
Or knew before the victim knew them before the incident,
right? And that's another thing, like. Another thing that and I don't know that Oakland, the city, is doing it, but maybe there are community groups that are trying to engage in some sort of like conflict resolution. I mean, just even in San Jose, I saw individuals just intervening to resolve conflict. And I feel like you were saying before about is if you care about your neighborhood and you care about your community and you feel safe enough in doing so, you might be more inclined to try to intervene to take to you know, turn the temperature down on a conflict that you might see. Especially on the bus, on the street, you know, even if you're just like, hey guys, well, come on. Hey guys, there's kids in this neighborhood. They don't need to see that or whatever, you know, whatever it might be.
Well, especially if they know you and you know them, or I mean, not know them
or
in
even
some
if they
sort
like
of innate
just
way.
Seen you around.
Correct, exactly. Even if they know you're a presence in the neighborhood or you met them once at a block party, right, like 2 years ago, right, and said hey for 5 seconds, at least you've had that interaction. And it makes you more of a trustworthy partner, right? And a lot of fronts. So,
yeah, like I don't, you know, I always we got to move on here. But there's like a corner in my neighborhood that's like a bar. You know what I'm saying? Like where there's a lot of brown bagging out there, right? And like different people hanging out there every time I walk by there. So I feel like I don't know, man. I see something going on in the neighborhood. Maybe I go to that corner and be like, hey, fucking. You guys see this? What's going on? Do you guys know these people?
Yeah, for sure. What's the haps here, man? Can you help me out?
I should grab a bottle and a brown bag and go out there and fucking make some friends, man. That is the best personal security in the world, right? Is to know your neighbors, know them dudes hanging out on the corner.
That's some exposure too. If you're out, one of those dudes out in the corner, right? Just be giving out mixtapes and whatnot. Is that still a thing? Is that still a thing? Like sell
USBs.
I got this mixtape.
I got USBs.
I got this CD. I got the CD. This CDR. Anyway, well, yeah, we should move on, and we're going to move on down to here, my neck of the woods in San Jose, where police apparently do think that there's still crimes. So, and they decided to bust up some smoke shops that were selling a little bit more than smoke. And we're going to find out more from ABC.
Smoke shops for illegally selling controlled substances, from marijuana to mushrooms. The police operation began after community members came forward to make the initial complaint.
And stop snitching.
Ruben joins us live from the San Jose Police Department with details. Ann?
Yeah, police executed the search warrant last week and say it confirmed what the public had reported, that these businesses weren't just bending the rules, they were breaking them outright. It began with a tip from the public that smoke shops all over San Jose were selling more than just tobacco. They were also selling drugs illegally.
I called them. I said, hey, we got to do something about it. They're brazen. They're having their products right on the counters in our local business centers. You know, we can't allow people to feel like they can have an open air black market for drugs in our district.
Police, along with code enforcement, took swift action, busting 4 businesses: Grizzlies, JT's, McKee's, and the East Side Smoke Shop.
This was large-scale illegal sales of cannabis products, unregulated, untaxed, and unsafe.
Police.
Well, if y'all would let there be more fucking cannabis fucking shops, you assholes.
74 pounds of marijuana products, and that wasn't all. They also found 40 pounds of psilocybin mushrooms and more than 400 cylinders of nitrous oxide. Plus,
yes.
That's not just a code violation, that's a criminal operation. And when drugs and weapons start mixing in a business model that deliberately bypasses regulation, the risk to the public is real and immediate.
in total, 5 people were arrested, and authorities say they aren't just going after the business operators. They'll cite the property owners, too. Still, Mayor Mahan says code enforcement needs to be tougher.
There should be more penalties, including loss of licenses for breaking faith with the community, harming children.
Officials hope this sends a message to other smoke shops. San Jose is not the wild, wild west. Community members say they're glad something is finally being done.
I think it's about time that they have to.
Authorities believe this is just the tip of the iceberg, that there may be other smoke shops selling controlled substances too. They say we should expect future enforcement as well, and they hope the public continues to speak out when they see trouble. Live in San Jose, Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
As somebody in the chat said, that was on the east side, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, almost exclusively, right? And so I the notion that this isn't happening on the west side either is ridiculous. And it's certainly happening in Tony towns not named San Jose, where they have pretty much banned through zoning legal marijuana dispensaries, cannabis dispensaries. Although obviously, if you're selling psilocybin mushrooms or whippets, you know, to me that's not,
that shit's legal in Berkeley.
I mean, to be fair, you know, yes. Dangerous, but also could be described as a really good time.
Right.
So 40 pounds of psilocybin mushrooms to me is, you know, that's a party. That's a lot. That's a couple parties. But anyway, yeah, no, these are all East Side establishments for sure, especially East Side, whatever it was, East Side Smokes.
Right. But I mean, I know where like McKee, I don't, it could be like North Side. McKee's a pretty long fucking street, actually.
I mean, northeast though. I mean, McKee doesn't really start being called McKee until the east side, right? It's primarily East Side Street. So yeah, no, that's where it's predominantly looks like these raids occurred. And harkening back to the previous story or the previous takes we were having, or the takes we were having on the previous story. There we go. It is based on what's been reported, right? So obviously it sounds like neighbors and people in the neighborhood immediately around these places, right, got together and said, we don't like this, and we're going to make a big deal out of this. We're going to call the media and get their attention, and then get the police's attention, and then build a big stink out about it until they do something about it. And that could happen really anywhere. It just happened to happen here, and it just so happens that a lot more crime gets reported on the east side. A lot more incidents seem to occur on the east side and not as much on the west side. And therefore, data draws more of the police attention to the east side. And hey, look, they found more crimes because crimes happen everywhere in a city, right? But if you're looking for crimes, you're probably going to find more crimes, right?
Right.
So it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and giving him the benefit of the doubt and all, the council member for the district, he's kind of has to walk a tightrope, right? He has to respect that his constituents see a threat to their quality of life and they want it, cleaned up. But he also, especially his background, he did come from the streets of East San Jose. He was in a gang prior to getting on the path to where he is now. And so he also understands innately the community, the issues at stake here, and what some of them, the root causes, right? Not just like addressing, let's just shut these places down. Okay, great. But it's not, like you said, it's not addressing the root cause, which is there's not enough access on the open market or the free market. And it creates a black market scenario, or it perpetuates a black market scenario. But also there's the demand for other things like whippets, right? Like nitrous oxide, which, I'm sorry to all the nitrous users out there, is to me the dumbest freaking use of your time and money ever. But hey, more power to you if you want to try it. He has to understand all these different facets, walk a line between what his constituents want and need and are calling for, but also what the community really needs in terms of systemic changes, and he has to try and fight for both. So I don't envy his position, but he doesn't. To me, it's a very. I don't like the idea of walking that line anyway. Just go. You have to go one way or the other. You have to address the systemic causes and fully invest in that, or you just end up, dusting up your trail behind you, like that dog or that animal in Alice in Wonderland, right?
Yeah, I just remember living when I lived in Campbell and when I lived in the South Side. I couldn't just go somewhere and buy weed kind of nearby. I had to go all the way across fucking town to east of North First Street, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one place off of Industrial, kind of over by the flea market a little bit, sort of. Over sort of by the Berryessa BART station, but not super accessible. Not a fun walk from the Berryessa BART station, but just sort of over in that area. There was one place downtown, but it was super overpriced, and they only let one person in there at a time, and it was probably because the city was all over their shit. And it was just why I thought weed was legal. What the fuck is going on? I was kind of surprised there wasn't a fucking overpriced bougie weed shop right there on goddamn Campbell Avenue, where they would have just made so goddamn much money. But even the city of Campbell, as progressive as they generally are, didn't want that. But it's there were no. I mean, I think there was one kind of on the south side, but it was such a pain in the ass to get to that it was easier actually to take light rail up to the north side. And it's well, what I thought weed was legal. What the fuck? And then you just zone it out. And now, fucking the weed shop that I go to here, that I like, the one that I like, that's not not the cheapest one, but the one that I think has the best products and whatnot. It's in Montclair. I don't know if you know about.
Yes,
it's the Los Gatos of Oakland. Oakland's put it wherever, And
right.
What the fuck? You don't see the people in Montclair fucking throwing a stink about the Cannabis Club fucking at the bottom of the hill there, right?
Are you kidding? They're in fucking line with you, at the Cannabis Club to get their shit, right? I've been in the bougie, dispensaries. I've been in line there with all my neighbors, basically. No one's hiding out anymore. I think.
Is there one over by Willow Glen?
Well, I'm thankfully I'm out of the Dub G these days, but there actually is a dispensary in the very near vicinity to Lincoln Avenue, but it's out enough, right? It's away enough from the main drag that it found a good zoning.
Is it one of the big chains
zone.
Like Canna or whatever? I hate those.
No, there's Kaliva. They're over on in the industrial sort of south central area of San Jose, right? So where there's a lot of folks.
The one on there's what is it? Purple Lotus over there off of Industrial Boulevard.
Well, Purple Lotus now has a spot right, not to get too deep into this, but right on Santa Clara Street downtown, like you were talking about. and it's like frontage on the main drag, and just up from Post, actually, just up from the community. And they've got a little stand out front with one security guard, and maybe they let 2 or 3 people queue up at a time outside. And I don't know what's going on inside because I haven't been inside, but it's very obviously like this is a dispensary. So it's the first experiment in a very visible space, because they have laxed up the zoning code. But what they haven't done is also increase the number of permits to a substantial extent, right? They also have a limited number of, it's not just the zoning, they have a limited number of permits that they will allow for
so stupid.
For these. It's idiotic, and it's cutting off a lot of potential business. There's also a big equity question around it, right? Where
it's all rich white people that are getting the permits.
Well, yeah, it was first come, first serve. That's the thing. So if you were all ready to go and you had your business already scaled up and ramped up and in place, right? Like MedMen and the big ones, they were able to snatch up the permits really early, and so the mom and pop and local business owners, potential business owners, got kind of forced out because there wasn't opportunity. There still isn't. I think there's like 16 maybe permits in the whole city allowed, something like that, maybe 20.
Man, off the top of my head, I could tell you exactly where 16 are in Oakland.
Yeah, you go out that door, make a right. So yeah,
literally,
it's
there's 2 in my district, and I live in like the foothill. Like the one in my district is technically the one that it's at the foothills of Montclair. And then the other one in my district is right there on fucking MacArthur next to the fucking Farmer Joe's. And it's like, dude, what nobody cared. Like nothing bad is happening here. Like,
piling onto San Jose's conservative approach to the situation, you've also got towns like Los Gatos, like Saratoga, where it's pretty much banned. Like they've effectively.
Yeah, there's none in Campbell. I went to the Campbell, like a couple of us went to Campbell City Council to complain about it. Not that like, and they're just like, well, they were like, we're not, we have no plans to issue these permits.
Right. Like they have to choose to do it. That's the thing. The loophole in the law for them, for those cities, is that you can choose not to zone for it, not to permit, not to allow it. Right. Basically ban it. You're not banning it.
Damn. I can't imagine the fucking, what kind of brain dead motherfucker you need to be to not allow a fucking little weed shop on Campbell Avenue that looks like a fucking like a high-end fucking retail shop. You stupid motherfucker. You get some Los Gatos wine ladies in there paying $130 for an eighth. Like,
brown chicken, green weed, right?
Right? oh man, so stupid. Like it's such a like downtown, like in the nice part. Like there's, I don't know if you know, like Portland is sort of downtown is sort of bisected by it's not a river.
Burnside, right?
But it's bisected like there's a bridge, right? And then there's a waterway. I don't know if it's a bay or whatever.
It's the Willamette River.
On the nice side is where all the dispensaries are, and people there complain because the fucking prices are jacked up at the dispensaries because there's none over there on the affordable side of the bridge.
Right. It's the Willamette River.
Okay. Yeah, it feeds out into the ocean, essentially.
Correct. Or into the it actually feeds right before that. It feeds into the Columbia River, which then feeds into the ocean. So, but it's all part of the same waterway. Really, it's all the same. If you pee into one, you're peeing into all of it.
The only shop I've been to in Oakland that is in like kind of what people think. Well, it's a bad area, but it's not like I'm not scared over there. It's just out in the middle of nowhere, over by the Coliseum, kind of. And that's a great shop too, but it's like. All the other ones I've been to were like on Telegraph, MacArthur, Broadway. There's one right next to Jack London Square. I mean, Jack London's dead, but it was there before.
Right.
And it's like such a weird thing. Like
they've just forced it out, and these towns, like I think I even told you before, in Palo Alto, right? They had some activists circulated petition, got a measure on the ballot to basically overturn the ban that they had and allow for a certain number of permits, like 3, I think, in the whole city, right? And it was funded by some white bros who wanted to open up a dispensary or 2, right, and snatch up those permits. So it was written and paid for by them, but they put it on the ballot and it went down 2-1, even though the same city had voted maybe 2 years before to legalize 2-1, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So as long as we're cool with it, as long as it's not like in our town.
What's wild is Union City has them, and they're in strip malls. Like right
Sure.
next to the fucking,
Yeah,
right next to
laundromat.
the fucking, what is that? Right next to the Texas Roadhouse. I mean,
Right.
it's a little bit weird when family goes to Texas Road. Everybody knows that me and my sister and my mom's friend Gloria smoke weed. But when we like go, we actually want to do some shopping before we leave. It's like
Holders Country Inn and the dispensary.
right. It's literally right next to one of those shitty fucking strip mall hotel, like extended stay hotels. It's so funny.
Oh, love it.
I mean, I'll only buy a little something there because it's fucking overpriced. It's like shitty. It's like fucking gentrified ass weed, but like it's over there, and it's fun because my sister will go and Gloria will go, and it's like we all, it's like when you're kids and you sneak off to smoke weed on Christmas, right?
Sure. Well, we do need to move on because we do have so much more ground to cover on the docket tonight. It's just immense.
We've been covering a lot of Sonoma County lately.
Well, let's do lightning round. So the down ballot lightning round. There was apparently a Ponzi scheme that was going down up in Sonoma. If you're not familiar with what a Ponzi scheme is, I'm sure they'll explain it on the KPIX news hit here.
They'll spend fucking zero time explaining what a Ponzi scheme is.
Oh shit. Well, we'll do it on the backside then. We'll just listen to the story and we'll see what happens.
A Sonoma man is suspected of running a real estate Ponzi scheme in the North Bay, and the properties he allegedly bought with other people's money are now going on the bankruptcy auction block. John Ramos reports on how the alleged scheme has impacted the entire town.
In about 2021, people began noticing that a real estate investment company was buying all kinds of properties in the town of Sonoma, often leaving them vacant. Now we know that company was a house of cards, and now that it's collapsed and the bankruptcy sales have begun, it's leaving both the city and the investors wondering what the future holds for them. His name is Ken Matson. He and his business partner Tim Lefevre began buying up dozens and dozens of homes and commercial properties in and around the town of Sonoma, and he didn't seem to mind paying more than market rate for a lot of them.
His plan was to, tear it down and rebuild something, promising that everyone could come back after it was rebuilt. But it's just been sitting vacant.
David Eicher and Lisa Storment smelled a rat and started a group called Wake Up Sonoma to investigate the matter.
So he's buying property over value, and then he's like, how can he be making money off of these things if he's paying so much for them?
It turns out he wasn't. His investors, many who were elderly and recruited through churches, were sending Lefevre Matson money that they will never get back. When the company collapsed, Maria Crane lost virtually everything she and her husband had saved for their retirement.
We got statements saying our increase, and he was making up that money, that information, but we thought we were safe for getting statements. They were our financial advisors, and we thought we were planning well, and now we are scrambling to make ends meet.
Now she's gone back to teaching, and her husband, at age 70, will have to keep working as well. The town has also paid a price. Many of the properties sit empty, their fates tied up in the courts. One familiar business, the cheese factory, has since reopened under a new buyer.
It looks more like the beloved cheese factory that we used to know and love.
But when it was owned by Matson, the once popular specialty deli was hit with a boycott from the community.
I mean, if the right person takes ownership of some of these beloved historic buildings, they'll get a lot of community support.
Matson is facing criminal charges, and there is also a bitter irony in that for the investors. Because he too is a co-owner of some of the properties, he stands to get a portion of whatever is generated through the bankruptcy property sales.
Whatever Ken uses for his own legal defense comes out of whatever pot is left that could go back to investors and creditors. So of course we're like, we don't want to pay for the defense of the man that has committed a crime against us and stolen our livelihood.
So far, 6 Lefevre Matson properties have now been sold out of bankruptcy, with dozens more to follow. And just as their initial purchases artificially raised the price of real estate in town, now their deflated sales price are likely to bring down the value of their neighbors' homes.
Matson was arrested after his own partner accused him of defrauding investors. He faces 9 counts of wire fraud, money laundering, and obstruction of justice, and is currently free on a $4 million bond.
So that part where and I don't know if that's the part where she was saying that some of the money goes back to the people, the business entity that committed the fraud.
For many.
Oh, that was weird. Oh, YouTube's acting weird. Anyway, I can't imagine that being true. I don't think Homegirl's lying. I think maybe she just misunderstood something.
Possibly, yeah.
Because maybe
more
they
likely.
have creditors or whatever, that the people that they owe money to, and so some of the money goes to them and is then funneled to the people that they like creditors that aren't investors, something like that. There's something like that going on, because you are not, if you were busted for this kind of thing and then all the property is sold off by the government, you don't get the money. That's what happens.
Right. Like the whole idea is that you're actually not buying the properties, that you're taking the money for yourself, that from your investors, right? And you're not actually doing the thing that you are saying that you are doing, right? Although in this case, like, he's actually buying up the properties. I'm not really sure how this entirely worked, other than, he's just making down payments, or not really making payments yet, just acquiring things, right? And getting sort of ownership that gives him the reason, right, to maybe a semi-legitimate reason to reach out to potential investors, right, in redeveloping these properties, yada yada yada, preserving the historic property, whatever the his riff is with any of them. So that a Ponzi scheme generally is, you got a couple people up front who front a little money to get things rolling, to give some legitimacy to a business endeavor, right? Basically a con scheme, and or a long con, and then you recruit people like little old ladies and people in mobile homes to invest their retirement funds in furthering your scheme, but you back out and run away with the money before anyone realizes that you don't really have anything to offer, and that's a Ponzi scheme. It's named after an Italian con man, and as an Italian American, I'm very offended by the fact that that it's called that, but whatever, I'll live with it. Plenty of comment out there. I'm sure there was a French one. Anyway, so sad for the folks who got conned, although could be a silver lining there, like they called out, some of these commercial properties and older properties that might, in the hands of a, filthy lucrative developer, might get just demolished and destroyed forever. But at a bank auction, if you have a little money, it's possible that you can get in there, and community groups can get in there, and nonprofits can get in there and preserve some of these properties. So there's
or
the housing.
Could go like they said, they put it, like, there was this fucking bougie cheese place that everybody liked. It's some that's under a new owner now, and the fucking people are at the bougie cheese place in what might look like an old building. I don't know if it's historic, but it looked like an old building. And like somebody in chat just said, if you can convince people to front you money to purchase real estate, you don't actually need to be committing a fraud to make some money off the top of all that. Like, especially in the Bay Area where the line just keeps going up. Like,
no, it's just you have to be willing to take the long haul too, take the long haul approach, and just follow through and do the thing. And it's a lot of work, right? And it's not like just not as easy as just running a con. But yeah, no, absolutely. There's plenty of money to be made, depending on what you're trying to do, especially in a tourist hotspot like Sonoma. Probably some really creative things you could do with a lot of these properties if you thought about it. But it doesn't seem like that was the case here. It would seem like they were just in it for the money and getting out and couldn't get away clean. But
shout out to those busybodies who figured out what was going on. I bet they got pitched, and they got pitched to this thing, and they're like,
wake up, Sonoma.
What kind of return? They're like, Then they probably went to a real financial advisor and said, hey, we were pitched this thing, and a real financial advisor was like, oh, that sounds like a scam, right?
Yeah, wake up, Sonoma. Well, I'm glad that they woke up, and hopefully these guys, get what's coming to them.
And hopefully, hopefully Homegirl gets some of her money back, like the lady with that cool ass jewelry and shit. Hopefully Homegirl gets some of her money back.
We'll see. It generally, from what I understand, just doesn't happen a lot, but we will see. So, and finally, in winners and losers today, I don't know if it's a winner or a loser. It's kind of in between, but it's just, they're building a big, BART extension, as you might know, Bay Area Rapid Transit down here to the South Bay finally, and into San Jose, and now they're bringing it downtown, and it's going to cause all sorts of havoc, and there's going to be a tunnel or two tunnels or a tunnel, and it doesn't seem like they've ever been able to make up their minds, but they've pretty much thrown down on one of these options, and they just keep having to defend it to people, and we're going to hear more about it from NBC Bay Area.
Downtown San Jose surface street business owners, the most important part of VTA's so-called single bore approach, meaning one deeper tunnel rather than two more shallow tunnels, is theoretically much less construction disruption.
What they were looking at doing would have devastated downtown San Jose. I mean, we might as well packed up our bags and left if they decided to go the other route.
Today, VTA planners released a cost report it will present to its board of directors this Thursday. They say not only will drilling a single deeper bore be less disruptive to businesses, but will also be cheaper.
Even before we escalate dollars from current dollars to future dollars, if we were building the subway right now, twin bore would cost approximately $600 million more than a single bore would cost.
VTA planners compare the single bore plan to the twin bore plan a lot because in the early stages, many critics noted a more shallow twin bore proposal was a more standard accepted approach. But planners now say technology has changed and made a deeper single bore more viable. But even in its full report, critics point out some consultants have said the savings comparison is inflated and that the $600 million savings for a solo tunnel could be swallowed up by costs associated with digging 80 to 100 feet deep. Critics also note access to such a deep BART station could be a problem for many riders, including some seniors and the disabled. Planners said,
"Friend, it's called an elevator."
What?
This is really very important for us to be able to do. It's a major infrastructure project, but it's also a major investment in transportation and land use and our ability to have mobility around the whole Bay Area.
The other thing is like just the single bore is really cool because you can stick the platform in the center and then there's like one platform and it's less confusing maybe for people who are traveling or whatever. I fucking like BART's great, but there's a couple stations in Oakland where there's 3 fucking platforms. And the train only seems to even be going 2 directions, so I don't even know what the fuck there's 3 platforms for, but I live here and I'm sometimes find myself, oh shit, there's my train. Oops.
Right. And imagine if you were in a wheelchair, right? Is that accessible even with elevators? So, saving money, less disruption. It's certainly more of a logistical hurdle and a seismic and other kind of hurdle. And it's really almost never been done at this scale before. So we're VTA and BART are kind of venturing into unknown and yet really exciting territory. And if you go down to where they're dropping this big mother into the earth, they've got like 5 or 6 cranes over there just excavating and digging up the hole that they're going to drop this thing into before it can even start digging. And they've already bought that's the thing here is like, I don't know if anyone's thinking about this double bore anymore because they've already bought the world's largest single bore boring machine, right? It's not boring at all. It's very exciting, but it's a boring machine.
They didn't buy the one from Elon Musk, did they?
No, they did not. They did not. This is not an Elon Musk machine, but it is a boring device. That is what it's called. Right. But it's huge. It's like one of the biggest in the world, and it's going to be one of the longest tunnels dug with this kind of device in the world. And we're also dealing with ground in San Jose that when you get down to 80 feet, it's not exactly solid ground. A lot of liquefaction. We are right next to the bay. So the earth is not necessarily like, stone. We're talking about a lot of silt, a lot of water in there. So it's going to take a while to make this thing work.
I thought it would take a week.
No, they're still projecting it's going to be like a decade at least before one of these stations even opens. So be patient. But we've waited 50 years for BART in San Jose. I think we can wait 10 more.
I'm surprised it even crossed into Santa Clara County at all.
We did it, producer Dave.
Yeah, I'm still mad that they one of the dumbest thing. I'm just telling you, the dumbest thing in the world they did was they just blew it. It blows right by Cisco, where hella people work, and there's no stop there.
Right.
Like, could you just make a stop there?
Well, they would argue that, well, the light rail goes there and the light rail connects to BART, so there you go. That would be their argument. We've got you covered. You just have to be on a couple different trains. So, and it's also right of way. Like, the thing is, right now we're grafting public transportation onto a place that wasn't zoned, or just wasn't built for it. Like, when I say it wasn't built for it, like you would normally build these things into your infrastructure as you're building out a city, like subways and bus, rapid bus transit and all of these things, right? Bike lanes. And we're now grafting it on after the fact. So you have to sort of find, like the BART line. The reason why they're going into a tunnel is because it's almost impossible to find right of way on surface land just to run these trains, right? So you have to go where you can find the land that's available to run the rails or rails that already exist, right? And you can piggyback on.
Right. Well, the problem with BART is you can't do that because
it runs on its own tracks, which is even bigger issue. I don't know whose bright idea that was, but it's its own like proprietary track system, which is just ridiculous. But anyway, it's finally coming to San Jose. Yay! It's here. It's just coming to downtown.
Well, we're going to move on to get your shit together, and this is about trash cans in San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm going to get our trash together in San Francisco. Smartly.
Okay, talking trash over keeping cans, and the message is don't take our cans. In San Francisco's Tenderloin districts, there are lots of concerns that trash cans might be removed after the grant used to lease them ran out. Here's NBC Bay Area's Sergio Quintana.
I'm sorry, leasing trash? Never mind.
Don't take my cans, Bruce Dave.
Smart bins are dotted across the Tenderloin. Neighbors say they've been a welcomed improvement to the cityscape, but there is one regularly recurring issue.
Most of the time is full. There's a lot of people just jumping trash. It's not only the walking person. I think there's the neighbors. They want a filling, they own trash.
Cesar Martinez also showed us how the foot paddle to open the bins is often broken on many of them. But he likes that they keep some people in the neighborhood from dumpster diving, which was a big problem. He's happy with the progress the city and community benefit district has made in trying to clean up the neighborhood.
This neighbor do much better than 4 years ago.
Is it much better?
Much better.
Even though the bins seem to be working well here, their time on the streets will be coming to an end. Earlier this summer, the Tenderloin Community Benefit District was notified a grant was not going to be renewed. That's an issue because it's how the organization paid for the $136,800 a year lease for the bins. And there was some concern the neighborhood would be left without any corner trash cans. But today, a spokesperson for the City Department of Public Works tells me that's not going to happen. According to the spokesperson for the San Francisco Department of Public Works, that department will continue funding the big bellies in the Tenderloin until the city can replace them. Kate Robinson is the executive director of the Tenderloin Community Benefit District.
They let us know today that we will work out a plan where they will pay for the lease through funding that was granted from the supervisor as an add back. And that will be the stopgap until we eventually have new cans from DPW.
Those new cans have been part of the city's years-long odyssey that has cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to redesign and replace its street bins. It's a process that started in 2018, and according to the spokesperson for the DPW, new cans could be available to replace the Tenderloin smart bins in about 15 weeks. But if it takes longer, Executive Director Robinson says she's been told the DPW will continue paying the lease on the current smart bins, at least for now. In San Francisco, Sergio Quintana, NBC Bay Area News.
The trash can saga. We've been covering that since 2018 here on Downballot. And there's a lot of misinformation going on around those. Like these trash cans are $200,000 each. And it's like, no. The prototyping it is $200,000. It is not $200,000 per can once they start to get installed.
Right. To mass produce and to distribute. Right. This is just another one of those stories where the smell is a little bit bigger than the actual problem, as it were. So, yes, I'm always on the lookout for overspending by public officials. But if it's causing a benefit to the area, right? If the community benefit district, especially, is helping to fund it and organize it, this is an organization of basically the local businesses who have come together and said, we're going to tax ourselves and use that to fund this group that young lady represents and is probably the only staffer for, to do this very kind of thing, right? To get trash bins, to get murals painted, to get cleanup happening, to get more small business support. They're investing in themselves. And the city is working with them. And a few tax hawks or something, want to try to disrupt a program like this. Like it's the same folks that are trying to disrupt the public toilets, right? Same thing. Oh, well, this one costs, $900,000 or something. Well, yeah, that prototype cost that much. You're right. But we can do this and mass produce it and get it. If you'll let us do it, we can get these out there in a much cheaper and much more efficient way. But people,
and it's, honestly, with the toilets too, it's the same people complaining about the shit on the sidewalk that are the people complaining about how much the fucking toilets cost.
Correct. The hypocrisy knows no bounds. Same thing here. They'll be complaining about illegal dumping and too much trash on the streets. But yeah, don't put it in that bin. Put it over there, like the bad baby says. Over there.
So we're going to move on to down ballot / recall walk. It seems like there's the firing of the sheriff or the not firing of the sheriff or whatever the fuck's going on in San Mateo County. There a federal judge was like, I'm fucking getting involved. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the federal judge probably saw this and said, nope, your problem.
Right. That's maybe this could have been under get your shit together too, but that's pretty much what the judge told them. We'll find out more from the news hit though.
That's what I'd have told them, and I'm not even a judge.
I think we've been telling them that they should watch Down Ballot.
County, where Sheriff Christina Corpus appealed to a judge today trying to keep her job.
That San Francisco federal court judge indicated that he will not stop the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors' efforts to remove Corpus, at least not yet.
Yeah, IT reporter Dan Royce attended the hearing. He's been following this story from the very beginning, and he's here with the latest. Dan.
Well, Dan and Amma, Sheriff Corpus and her legal team had high hopes for this hearing, but it looks like the fight and any possible victory have been delayed at least 4 months.
Sheriff Christina Corpus and her legal team walked into San Francisco federal court seeking an injunction to stop the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors from firing her, saying the process set out by the voter-approved Measure A is unconstitutional. Michael Kelly is a longtime Corpus supporter who came to watch the hearing.
You know, the constitutionality of it, with them being the judge, jury, and potential executioner, they've already admitted their bias. They've already said
all right, drama queen. Look hell like Brett Weinstein too. Fuck this guy.
Has said that she needs to be removed. She's guilty. This is supposed to be based on constitutional law and fairness.
And I want you to come to my community performance of Hamlet.
In the Measure A voter pamphlet.
And I've always maintained that this was illegal and would not pass a legal test in court. And it's kind of obvious at some point.
As in an emo band.
This is stopped.
But not today. Judge Vincent Chabria made it clear he is reluctant to get involved in the matter until if the supervisors fire Corpus. The judge said Corpus has not suffered irreparable harm yet, and he would take up the matter if the supervisors do remove her.
And if
that's a hot pantsuit.
That there was something unlawful about the process that led to her termination, I can order her reinstated. Right. And we could probably get that done before the end of the year.
Chabria said he could reinstate the sheriff and award back pay if she winds up prevailing on the merits of the case. Attorneys for both sides declined to comment after today's hearing, but I asked the Board of Supervisors president about the two efforts underway to remove the sheriff, the Measure A action through the board and a civil grand jury accusation.
Can you see any possibility that the Board of Supervisors decides to stop their process and to let the civil grand jury do its job?
Look, I think we are committed to the process that we've outlined. I want.
We're committed to the process that we're committed to the process of the process of.
This guy is so over his head. It's unbelievable. It's like if a PTA president got elected supervisor. It's just unbelievable.
PTA president would have done a better job.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't malign parents and teachers. If this is like if the Kiwanis Club president got elected,
homeowners association.
Yeah, there you go. The HOA head got elected to the Board of Supervisors. I'm sorry, PTAs. I love you. But
can the Board of Supervisors just kind of take the L and just be like, whoopsie poopsie, we did something real stupid?
Yes, I mean they fucking should at this point. I am struggling. I think we both have struggled over the whatever it was 8 months now. This ordeal has been going on with an election in the middle of it, right? Struggle to understand. Okay, so it sounds like some people are not really excited about how she runs the shop, right? Oh, she might have given her boyfriend a job. Oh shit, right?
But the job was like chief of staff, right? Don't people, elected officials, usually have someone very close to them personally as their chief of staff, just because that's someone they trust?
Well, it's not illegal. That's the thing. It's not against the law or the rules, apparently, for her to have this person, her partner in a role at all. Like it's not perceived to be a very good thing, right? It's perceived as a conflict of interest. It's the perception is the look is not good.
Use your influence to get this guy a job he doesn't deserve in someone else's office.
Right. The look is not good at all, but it's not against the rules. And when it comes down to it, from what I understand, public safety in San Mateo County is not exactly falling off the deep end or taking a jump off the Pacific Pier.
San Mateo County is like, they don't even ever talk about crime in San Mateo County.
Right, like maybe some individualized cities, but certainly not as a whole. Like, and the biggest crime that's happened there in recent memory was the shooting on the migrant farm workers over in Half Moon Bay. So I don't know that she's not doing, as she has said before, her job. Seems like folks are safe. I don't hear anything. I mean, I don't hear anything like you're hearing down here in Santa Clara County about like how people are dying in our jails, right? And because of not just neglect, but like malfeasance, like malicious intent by some of our, the folks who were asking to guard these folks.
Anybody in jail in San Mateo County.
Right. That's probably the thing. So I just don't understand, other than political, what the motivation has been this entire time to have some sort of report in the first place. They're spending so much ungodly amount of time, the supervisors, on this thing when they have such bigger issues to deal with, and even like, I'm not even talking about like major budgetary issues and things of social services.
Just housing affordability again, like every other place. That's their main issue.
That's what counties are there for, is social services, right? Social safety net, housing, healthcare. So what in the God's name are they doing? Like just obsessing about this? Yes, public safety is an issue for them. They oversee the sheriff, but it doesn't seem like this rises to the level of all the attention they've been giving it. So yeah, I think they should take the L, duck out while they still can, and maybe they can learn a thing.
Some of the supervisors might lose their fucking seats over this, because somebody might run against them and just go, well, I don't know why you did this. I don't even know the sheriff, and before this happened, I had no idea who the sheriff was. Nobody knew who the sheriff was.
It could depend how it plays out, but yeah, no, this is not a process or something that's going to really engender a lot of public support. And if the sheriff or others, in her support base, because this is almost obviously a politically motivated situation in the first place. So if people in her base want to organize, I think that no matter what happens, if she gets fired or not, I think they can absolutely start to build a case and throw the bastards out mentality, because that mentality already exists, as we've talked about on Downballot, right?
No, it's part of why people voted yes, I think, on the recall, because I think maybe a lot of people probably didn't know anything about the issue, but figured if there was a ballot initiative by the Board of Supervisors that would allow them to fire the sheriff, that something bad must be going on.
Something really bad must have happened. Yeah, it's for this to happen.
The kind of people that fucking end up on juries who are like, well, I don't know why you're in here in court if you're not guilty.
Well, you know why it happened? Because people like David Canepa are the board president. Like, well, I don't know. It's a process, and there's going to be a process to have a process. So yeah, they would do much better just to walk away at this point. Because if they do fire her, regardless, she's going to sue them. There's going to be a court case, and they're going to spend millions of dollars defending themselves, regardless of whether she wins, right? They could win, and they're still going to pay millions of dollars in either court fee, legal fees, or a settlement, whatever it is. So there's just no win for them here. I don't understand this at all anymore, and I just wish it would go away. But we'll keep covering it, because it is a story, and it is happening here in the down ballot.
And then, like, what happens if the next person that's the sheriff is like a real piece of shit?
Right. Well, they don't have I guess whatever they would call the beauty of this measure is that it only gave them limited opportunity to do this, the board, to fire the sheriff, right? It was basically, the way it was all worded was just, I'm sorry. Yeah. So there is no recourse. They'd have to go through the whole thing again.
That's what I'm saying, is like, it's like a boy who cried wolf sort of scenario. Now, if unbeknownst to the good or whatever people of San Mateo County, unbeknownst to the very boring people of San Mateo County, they elect somebody who is a corrupt piece of shit, as their next sheriff, and then the board starts to do something about it, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, we remember the last time you tried to do something about the sheriff, and it was a dog and pony show, and we're not doing this again, and now you have a fucking giant piece of shit as your sheriff.
Yeah, if there was enough of a public outcry, this would have merited like a recall. Like there would have been people circulating petitions to get a recall, and it's obvious that the folks who wanted her out didn't have the temerity or the backbone or the money or the interest in going down that road. That's why they chose the road they went down with the bullshit ballot measure that they created.
Didn't even fire her.
Right. Well, they haven't. They just haven't yet. Right. It's like they're like the man said, we're figuring out a process for the process. So they're working on it. Right. We're working on it, bro. And now we're 8 months into this, and it could have, if someone had just been willing to drop a little bit of money to gather some signatures, they would have had the recall by now. She'd be out of office by will of the voters without some silly, new measure, right, that had to get crafted, or not. But still, it would have happened.
The recall
it would have been
longer, right? The reason they wanted to do this is because it was quick and dirty.
Well, that's what they said. But what's this, right? It would be done by now. It would absolutely be done by now if they had just gone that route. But they chose this route.
What a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to San Mateo County. Yeah. Well, speaking of backing out and taking the L,
good for her.
Some people know.
I actually respect this, but.
Yeah, some people know when it's time to back out or to go to another race where it's more likely you could prevail. And Eleni Kounalakis found that moment. We're going to find out more about it from ABC7.
A revamped website for Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis. Instead of a campaign for California governor, it now shows she's running for state treasurer. Kounalakis made the announcement Friday, saying in a statement, quote, "This decision was not made lightly. Over the course of my campaign for governor, I've had the opportunity to engage with Californians across the state, listening to their concerns, hopes, and ideas for a stronger, more equitable future." Kounalakis is from San Francisco and made history as the first woman to serve as lieutenant governor. Her decision comes just weeks after former Vice President Kamala Harris said she would not run for governor, and on the heels of a new Emerson College poll showing she's getting just 3% of support from likely voters so far. The same poll shows candidate and former Congressmember Katie Porter getting 18%.
Given the way the California primary system now works, where the top two candidates go into the general, something like 18% is pretty significant given the amount of people that can run, and the very fact that the lieutenant governor could not muster up enough percentage votes in the polls to compete with that probably indicates that her campaign saw there wasn't really a path to victory.
With Governor Gavin Newsom set to term out next year and Kounalakis out of the race, 7 candidates are left in the running. Political analyst Nolan Higdon says the race won't just have an impact on the state, but possibly the entire nation in a hyper-partisan time.
So California is generally seen as the resistance from the Democrats, so whoever steps into this governor's seat will have big shoes to fill for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is they're going to find themselves at odds with the President of the United States, certainly for the first 2 years of their governorship.
Shout out to her for taking the L like early on too, so she had the opportunity to like move on to another job where she thinks she might be able to get that. Good for her. No problem here. No shade. She's like 3%. We should do something else.
Yeah. And she's got a great opportunity. There's only one other candidate in the treasurer's race right now, another Democrat, former state senator, current state senator, who's not very well known statewide. And Lieutenant Governor Kounalakis does have a statewide reputation, at least is known, has a name, and also has money. She is independently wealthy. Her family, I figure if it's her family or her husband's family, I think it's her family, has a great deal of wealth, and they are more than happy to spend it trying to get her elected. And it's just an interesting pivot. I wanted to be the chief executive. Now I just want to manage the money. But, it's a big role.
Just get out, though. Like, there's no, everybody just announced a little bit ago, and anything can happen. But
yeah,
there might have been other reasons she saw no path. Fuck, maybe she's like, you know what? Actually, I would love it if Katie Porter was the governor. You never know.
They say it's all the numbers. The numbers don't. I mean, they lie in as much as you can misread numbers and misread the tea leaves. But the numbers generally don't lie. And if in a race like this, if you're not really building a lot of momentum at this point, it's just too crowded, especially on the Democratic side, to make an impact and to cut through, no matter how much money you have or what kind of name you have. And I think she's just also challenged by, to be honest. Not that any of these fools has much of a personality, although I'll throw down for Betty E anytime. But she's just not. I don't know. She's always Eleni's kind of rubbed me different ways for a long time. So
I know it's it's just circumstance, but the last name is just I mean, she would her campaign would be her first name, right? She'd be running like on her first because of the I don't. I'm glad you know how to say it. I'm like whatever. It's a dumb reason, but like it's like people don't vote rationally.
I guess it is. I guess it's a dumb reason in as much as it shouldn't be about that, right? But it's absolutely a factor, right? Sexism, racism, and then things like just little things like that, right? Like, oh, I can't pronounce their name, or they wear too many turtlenecks, whatever it is, right? So little it does sometimes come down to little shit like that has nothing to do, right, with the actual policies or how effective they'd be in the role, right, or their qualifications for the role. Most times, frankly, in politics, it comes down to that, right? If it came down to just qualifications, Hillary Clinton would have been president for the past 8 years until 2024, and then God knows who else would have. Kamala would have gotten elected, I guess, or right. So if it comes down to that, then we'd have different results. So it is about the show. It is about I can't pronounce your name, so whatever. And yes, you are absolutely correct. I don't think I have one here, but I'm certain I have a lawn sign from Eleni's lieutenant governor campaign. And yes, Eleni was the highlight. And then Kunalakis, Eleni, right? is all you really saw when you looked at the sign. So they know she has smart advisors, and they're probably looking at numbers that say, hey, girl, this ain't happening. Let's go over here. Let's bide our time.
Even somebody popular like AOC, we go with AOC, not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because it's just fucking, it's not hard to say. It's just a lot. It's a lot to say, so
right, and it's the lexicon now, right? Like everyone, that's how she's known, is AOC, right? Like everyone knows her as AOC. The news calls her AOC. My mom calls her AOC. So, to have a brand like that is no joke, right? That's why I keep saying she's going to be a contender for that. If she wants to jump in the presidential race, she'll be a contender, AOC, simply because she has a brand. What else does anyone else have? Right.
Well,
no one else.
Now. America's just a marketing grift. So
yeah, I mean, Bernie has a brand, right? She has a brand. But who else really in the Democratic side has their own brand?
Mayo Pete.
Oh, right. Mayo Pete. Yeah, that's right. Hey. So there you go. That's probably and lo and behold, that's your top contenders. And Kamala has a brand just because she's now been around, right? More people know her. She's run. I don't think so. I don't think she should, frankly. I think that she has, and I think that she should. She has an opportunity to be a leader in the party and a leader on the left.
On the governor's race, unless like a Matt Mahan or a Daniel Laurie jumps in, I feel like it's over. It's Katie Porter's to lose. A lot can happen between now and then, but I feel like because people know who she is.
Yeah, no, and she's doing. I mean, 18% is nothing to laugh at in a poll like that, and it's a very trustworthy poll. Yeah, it's a trustworthy poll, and it included the Republican too. So the poll included everyone. So and now there's less Democrats.
Was like the Republican is polling higher than me. I'm out.
Right, and then and Katie's due to pick up a lot of Eleni kind of supporters. They do profile a lot like Katie, although Katie's a little more progressive, I would say, than Eleni. So I don't know what her supporters profile like, but I'm guessing it's a lot of white moms, are in that bunch. So she'll probably pick up some from them.
And that was the other thing I know, that field for a diverse place like California, that field looking pretty white.
Yeah, I mean, you got two Latinos, and they're both, varying levels of shadiness going on there with both of them. And then one API woman, Betty Yee, Tony Thurmond, black male, current superintendent of schools for the state. And then Cowboy Bob, or whatever his name is, the sheriff of San Diego County, the Republican. So it's not the most, and then Katie Porter, of course. So I guess she's the only white person on the Democratic side, I think, now at this point. But yeah, no, it's not as diverse as you probably would want it. And it's certainly could do with, we do with a lot more here in California. I think we could again, outside of Betty and Katie to some extent, like it's not really a really heavy hitting group. I think we could do better as a state, but it's all about who's on the ballot.
I think unless he's running for president, Matt Mahan jumping in that fucking thing.
Why not, right? Like, that's what I've been saying the whole time. Like, I think that it just
why
seems
not?
like he's
Because
got a lane.
a giant piece of shit. But I mean, like, strategically, why not?
No,
Yes.
he's got a lane, and he's not going to have an opportunity like that if he wants that job anytime in the future, or wants to go that executive route, right, towards president, which is probably what he's angling for, apparently. Yeah, this is his chance, right? So go for while he's still hot shit.
He doesn't run for president. I think I can't imagine there aren't people advising him to get in.
Oh, I'm sure they're already thinking about it, already angling for it. They have been angling for it. They've been thinking about this for a long time, and now it's all set up. So he can jump right the fuck in. And I think it's things like this are only going to make it more appealing to him. Because Eleni, while she was pulling at 3%, but it's just another duck out of the pond, right? And suddenly if you come in and you're hot shit and you can finance your own campaign, and you've got donors backing you up and PACs backing you up, and you've got a lane right there in the middle where you're not the fucktards and you're definitely not one of us, but you appeal to that base in the middle that's looking for more public safety and more accountability, and doesn't know shit about progressive or conservative. They just care about whatever you tell them is going to get them, get the homeless people off their streets, keep their cars safe, right, and make sure that their kid can go to a good school. Whatever you tell them to make that work for them, that'll win. So he could definitely be governor.
So we're going to move on. We have another thing. I think we're going to skip the very last one, but I like these two. I especially like the second one that we're going to run on another thing. This one's really cool though. It looks like a Bay Area woman, a blind woman, is going to go climb Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm afraid to walk up a hill. This is amazing.
At more than 19
Mission Peak, man.
Mount Kilimanjaro is Africa's tallest mountain. Needless to say, climbing to the top is not easy. The trek itself can take about a week, not to mention all the training that goes into just attempting it, which can take around 6 months. Now, one woman from Mountain View is preparing to take this once-in-a-lifetime challenge. And as Max Darrow shows us, she's not doing it for the views.
It is the highest mountain in Africa and the highest freestanding mountain above sea level in the world. 5 minutes of research into climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. The prominence of Kilimanjaro poses a serious risk of altitude sickness. Easily could be enough for someone to say no thanks.
Don't like that.
But the reward at the top will be worth it to Christy Colton, even though it may look a bit different.
A lot of people think that when you hike a mountain, you do it so that you can get the view at the summit. And obviously for someone like me, when we hike up Mount Kilimanjaro, I'm not going to be able to see the view at the very top. But there's so much more that can be taken away from the journey.
Christy is blind because of a condition that she's lived with since she was 9 called Stargardt's. It's a form of macular degeneration that affects central vision.
I can see it because it's within my peripheral vision. But then as it comes in towards the center, my finger essentially disappears.
But that's not enough to stop Christy from reaching new heights. In the fall, she'll be part of a history-making expedition where 11 blind hikers with guides will summit Mount Kilimanjaro.
I realized that I couldn't turn this opportunity down. It's so once in a lifetime.
But in order to get there, she has to train a lot. From going on hikes...
we're taking baby steps.
...to intense workout designed to build strength and stamina.
So I need to make sure I have a little bit of extra strength in my ankles to sort of counteract the fact that I don't always see exactly where my feet are landing.
Each step of this process...
I'm a little tired, but good.
...is fueled by her determination to not let her disability drive her away from experiencing life to the fullest.
When I was in high school, I was really embarrassed to be seen as disabled. It was something that I would go out of my way to hide. Sharing this vulnerable side of me, I think, has made me so much closer with people.
And that includes her friends Grace Eisenbach and Jungyeon Park, who will be guiding her every step of the way up Kilimanjaro.
Christy is so much more than just how much she can see. I think she's funny and she's spunky and she's a dreamer, and she inspires everyone else around her to dream really big about themselves.
What was once Christy's soft spot has become a source of strength.
There is so much opportunity out there.
And if anything, a lack of vision has only illuminated more beauty for her to appreciate in the adventure of life.
I might not experience the world in the same way, but there are so many things that I still love to do and enjoy doing because vision is not the point. There's so many other things to love about the things that we do.
I liked everything about that except her friend was incredibly basic and is not going to make it up Kilimanjaro.
Is there a public toilet on the way up here? No, the city council canceled it. It was just too expensive. So we couldn't do that. You're going to have to go back to base camp.
This is hard. I hope everybody makes it out of that okay, even if they don't make it to the top or whatever. Because if you get like 2/3 of the way up and then you decide you got to go back down, that's fucking dangerous as shit too. So like,
for sure. Well, it's all dangerous. Walking out the front door is dangerous. So good for her, and good for this crew. Good for anyone who does this. Fuck, like you said, I'd get winded and fall over, collapse and die just walking up Mission Peak probably.
And not for nothing, somebody in chat mentioned that like these people, a lot of times people do this and they leave a bunch of trash behind and stuff. I hope these people are being responsible.
I would hope so. I mean, yeah, I would hope so. So yeah, another thing.
Yeah, we got one more. This is, I saw this and I'm like, this is pretty down ballot-y. I'm like, we have to do this. This one's a little bit longer, but it's going to be worth every minute of this. It looks like a local news anchor has her soap opera dreams answered with a guest spot on The Bold and the Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I've always had this thing in the back of my mind. I've always loved soap operas, and now this is happening. Here's how my dream came to be.
Now, people, you have to listen.
I have been fascinated.
I hope she gets amnesia.
By drama since I was very young and quite restless, growing up in a small.
Her character, right? Not.
I took my breath away.
As a child, CBS's legacy soap operas were part of the daily routine. I'd even record them on my parents' old school VCR, dreaming of what my adult life might be in a place like the fictional Genoa City. In the meantime, I'd always been interested in acting, and as I grew, I considered trying my luck in the fickle world of showbiz. But then, CAL FIRE says this fire is now 12% contained. I found the right mix of drama, shock, and awe in the real world, moving from print to radio to television news.
CBS News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Makovic.
Thanks for joining us this Friday. Many of those years spent anchoring the noon show on CBS News Bay Area, which is right before The Bold and the Beautiful, and right after The Young and the Restless. I even got to mark this milestone a few years back. I grew up watching Young and the Restless, so you're both looking fabulous. I have to say congratulations on 45 years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It feels good.
And this February, I got an inside look at the newest soap, Beyond the Gates.
This is billed as being soapier than other soaps, so that's pretty exciting. What are we talking about?
I know, I love that description. Soaps are about to get soapier.
But when it came to real daytime drama, I was always on the outside looking in, on the other side of the satellite or the screen, until I realized it's never too late. Okay, so this is what is happening. I actually got a part in The Bold and the Beautiful. Going to LA, and I'm going to do this scene on Monday, and I'm just trying not to be a giddy weirdo about it. It is so exciting.
Do you have your lines yet? Do you know what your part is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I was thinking, they'll probably just make me a news reporter and, be throwing me a bone here, and that would not be as exciting. I'm going to be a socialite and a longtime friend of some of the legacy characters. So there's a little backstory.
And they don't kill you off or anything, so there's a chance that you come back. You never know.
One step at a time here, the days of our lives, right?
Just remember, we have to get her on. I know, right? I knew you would.
So I'm trying to chill out about it a little bit. I did get the chance to talk with a Bay Area actor on The Young and the Restless. His name is Nathan Owens. He plays Holden Novak. He was born in Daly City, and he spends a lot of time in the Bay Area, of course, lives
Did Holden get amnesia?
For the show, but I got some advice on the upcoming appearance.
Practice those lines, get them down to the point where you can forget them. That's what that's what you technically want to do each time, but because they move so fast, like the difference within soap opera and other television that I've been on, it's like it just moves very, very quickly. So
once you're in there, you get in, you do the best you can because they're ready to, they got things to do. They've got a lot of story to tell.
You don't have any idea what's going on with your storyline. Do you have any heads up on where it's going?
So not exactly. I feel like that's the fun game we always play with amongst those actors. We're like, I wonder where this is going to go. Huh? Like, and you have your own thoughts, and then maybe you discuss with a couple other people, like maybe I'm the blah, 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 or maybe she's the blah, 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 blah. But none of us really know. Because I think, it ebbs and flows and changes, and sometimes they might want to push something else instead. And, who knows? Yeah.
Sometimes the writers maybe don't even know where they're going.
Sometimes the writers don't know, and sometimes the audience also likes something more, and they're like, oh, let's dive into that a little bit.
Any other advice that you would have for me on this?
Okay. Well, you're already familiar with being on television, so that's one of the biggest things that people have a hard time with, the nerves, understanding how to deal with nerves. And
that's probably true, huh? He's like, you have a big advantage over other people because you're used to being on TV.
I do breathing techniques. So prior to, I'll try to do different breathing techniques to kind of calm myself so I can kind of settle and ground myself before I step into the stage for whatever the scene is. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest that for sure. Mm-hmm. And keep water nearby because sometimes you get a little cotton mouth or, whatever.
They be fucking chiefing it up on the Young and the Restless.
Absolutely. Lots of breaks.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Bold and the Beautiful.
Try to have fun when you can have fun.
That's my main goal here.
Is to have fun?
Yes.
There's always a little chemistry happening already. I know. I was going to say, I think I'd have a hard time controlling the blushing. I know.
No, I have to say, okay,
damn, come on, don't objectify the man. He is a good-looking man, but come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. Come on. You don't. Come on.
I'm in the Bold and Beautiful. So those storylines have not yet commingled.
They have not. No crossover yet. No crossover. You don't be nervous. You should.
Okay.
Breathe. He's so right. But you are going to nail this. You were meant to be a star. You're already a star for us.
These girls pumping me up.
No, it's true. And I'm so excited.
Thank you. I'll keep you posted on the journey.
Okay, please do. Yes. And you know what? As it all unfolds, hopefully Ann will post some stuff on social so we can.
That's fucking cool.
It makes perfect sense too. These local news is a big soap opera, right? As we cover all the time here on Downballot, our show is a big fat soap opera.
Oh yeah. We don't. we are leaning to, when we call something downballot-y. That's why I thought that was kind of downballot-y. I'm like, wait a minute.
Absolutely, in that it shines a light and reflects a mirror back on ourselves. So always good to.
Like I said, the guy's advice. He was like, hey, you're used to being on TV, so you don't have that kind of nervous stuff. She's used to reading a teleprompter. Probably doesn't have to memorize a lot of stuff. She'll do great. She'll be fine. I think she'll be in her element. Although if her character gets amnesia, I hope she recovers.
Hopefully in time for the evening news. Anyway, well, good to see you as always, Producer Dave. It's been a wonderful week here.
As always, would you care to read the show out?
Sure. Thanks everyone for joining us. Whether you're watching now or you're downloading us later, we are the 69th best podcast here in California for a reason. So we really want you to keep listening and sharing and watching and doing all the things to keep this network going at echoplexmedia.com. Please make sure that you get vaccinated. You wear a mask where it's appropriate. Pants are completely optional. We're going to leave you with some audible smoke signal right now, as we always do. We're going to see you next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., except when we don't. I think we are going to see you next Tuesday, though. And I wish you a merry, merry week. Peace out.
To get the party started, pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for all the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty in 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
All they say, they hear like jamming, and they hope it like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do.